Section 5. And I will tell you, as we go through this, what we want a nation of the people, by the people, and for the people, rather than a nation of media, by media, and a trial of, for, and for the media. This shall not stand. I am proud to stand here with both my friends, Representative Gates and Stefanik. With that, I introduce Dan Webster. Well, I can't say much more than has been said. However, there was an event that I attended. There was no one here on this stage, no one in Congress, no staff, no one except myself. Most of the rest are dead. That was in 2000. There was another ballot question. It was in Florida, and it was Bush versus Palm Beach County Canvassing Board. And in that decision, not a 5-4 decision, it was pure quorum. It was the court. The court decided that what was done was wrong. They told the Supreme Court of Florida they were wrong. They told them to modify their decision based on what this decision was. And because of that, a lot of the things that were done that people have criticized for us, especially the Senate and the House voting and objecting to the results, that was allowed. Matter of fact, it was talked about in that case. The reason nobody brought that up is because nobody knew about it. So the only one that did was Justice Thomas, and Justice, let's see, one other. I guess the one that came in with Bush, because he wouldn't have been there had that not gone that way. So, all I can tell you is that case said it was, if anything was done in the election, done after the fact, done without the permission of the state legislature, was invalid. And that was their ruling. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't just a 5-4 decision. It was pure quorum. Ginsburg was there, and so was Scalia. And they both agreed. Because it was the right thing. And so unfortunately, I tried to call I called the president and Speaker of the House of Pennsylvania and Minnesota and Wisconsin, other places, actually Arizona called me and gave them all the details of why. They said, you're right, but we don't have the courage to say this election is wrong. We can't do it. And so they didn't. So all I know is President Trump is innocent. And that's been proven by the courts. Thank you, Matt Gaetz, for doing what you did. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Love to take some of your questions. Michael?
Thanks, Michael. Are you going to be bringing this to the floor as privileged to vote?
Well, in its current form, it's not privileged, but I know that our leadership holds the views that undergird what we're pushing.
No.
Have you received any assurances from the speakership that they will talk to Johnson?
I haven't. I've sat next to him for 7 years in the Judiciary Committee, though, so I'm pretty sure as to where he stands.
Talk to Trump about this resolution?
I have.
And what's his thought?
He was thrilled that so many members had signed on. It's really incredible to have 63 original co-sponsors to anything, and President Trump was heartened by as many supporters who are backing our legislative endeavor.
Yeah. So the former president was acquitted on this. So what makes this different?
I think that the House of Representatives has a special and unique voice here. I don't believe that the efforts of lawfare by the left and some of these bureaucrats in states have concluded. I think that they will persist and may take different form or fashion. And so the fact that the House would stand and say, we assert our sense that this was not an insurrection could have legal significance as well as significance for the body.
Congressman, can you talk about why hundreds of Trump supporters did attack the Capitol and fight police that day? If it wasn't Donald Trump wanting them to do that, was it the FBI manipulating them? Was it Antifa? What
Yep, the
happened?
FBI
We've
manipulated.
tried to get those answers. I mean, one of the most searing pieces of evidence we developed was when George Hill, a former FBI official, whistleblower, said that he couldn't get information out of the Washington field office regarding cases that they were pushing out to Boston because the Washington field office said they had so many confidential human sources that were in the group that they wouldn't share that information. When there were follow-up questions directed at Christopher Wray, at Lisa Monaco, at Merrick Garland, both in the House and Senate, they got real squirrely as to whether or not those federal assets had increased the level of criminal acuity. So, as I think Mr. Biggs said during his remarks, there were people who were violent at that riot, and they should not have been. But that is a very different thing than declaring that President Trump engaged in an insurrection. He wasn't here. He said he wanted people to be peaceful and patriotic. And I've never even really, insurrection isn't a term we interacted with frequently before getting to Congress. You never heard about the insurrection on the Little League board or at the local Kiwanis Club. But because it has this legal significance, it's been lashed to President Trump unfairly, and that's what we're trying to remediate. I'll give you a follow-up.
Field office. He testified in a deposition. He said they did not send anybody to be part of that crowd. Incidentally, there might have been people who had been trailing folks from other states who came here, but that they didn't do anything to participate.
Yes, it came as no surprise to us that the Washington field office didn't confess to their own actions and cover-up. But there is contravening evidence that was presented by whistleblowers saying that what the Washington field office has told you is not true, and they were able to cite specific phone calls, conversations, conference calls, where a very different sentiment was expressed. Yes.
Now, we know why you don't think he's guilty of an insurrection, but, forgive me if this is a little off topic, but is he guilty of adding trillions to the national debt, and how are you going to convey that on the campaign trail?
Well, this is a press conference about the insurrection measure. I would note the fact that during President Trump's time, the economy was growing tremendously, and so we were focused on the growth that must be a feature of our deficit and debt reduction strategies. And now many of the colleagues that are gathered here are working to put downward pressure on spending, and we wish we had a willing partner in the White House and in the Senate to do so, and that's created some of our challenges in that regard. Yes, ma'am?
I was curious, when the House voted to impeach Donald Trump for inciting an insurrection in 2021, some Republicans joined in that measure. Do you think you'll get any Democrats to join in on this?
I don't know. If they follow the facts and the law, they'd be with us. But, the whispers from those 10 voices get softer and softer by the day.
Two are still your colleagues.
Yeah, if you bat 200, it won't get you into a starting lineup, much less the Hall of Fame. Huh?
Well, Mayor, sorry, go ahead 1 second. I was a Democrat. I was the one that voted. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the reasons, one of many, that I changed parties.
Huh?
Did you put yourself question the DOJ pressure asking if they're going to get big or if they have an investigation going on regarding the pipe bombers of that day?
Yeah, we have been in a number of conversations with Capitol Police and with the DOJ regarding the pipe bomber. We just learned last week that the Capitol Police fessed up to the fact that it was a plainclothes Capitol Police officer who found the pipe bomb. As Mr. Crane indicated, Thomas Massey has built the video evidence around that, and it seemed to be sort of odd that people were eating sandwiches and watching children walk by, and the vice president was just steps away, and that there didn't seem to be the type of concern and response that you would have if there really was a fear that there might be an explosion there. So, yeah, there's still a mystery there with the pipe bomber, but certainly